Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. First of all, thank you for clicking the video and may you find this guide informative. Before we start, by the way, I would humbly ask for your support by simply liking the video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. So thank you so much, and now let's start with the video. One thing that I really love about Warframe is that every update, no matter how small it is, has the potential to add new broken combos that we can enjoy in the game. Recently, Digital Extremes changed how elemental mods interact with augments that imbue elements into your weapons. Right now, elemental damage from augments will be added parallel to your weapon's elemental damage instead of combining elemental damage types. This affects Volt's Shock Trooper augment, and right now the electric element you have from this augment will now have a separate elemental proc and damage. It will not combine with single elements to form a new combined elemental damage, and also, it will not combine with the existing combined elements in your weapon. This is very good for Volt, as now, we don't only get extra electric damage from Shock Trooper, but also the status effect which allows us to abuse melee influence arcane. By the way, I would just like to explain a common misconception about the melee arcane. Players believe melee influence works by having a chance to spread status effects that are already on a target when an electric status effect is inflicted. What melee influence actually does is, on inflicting an electric status effect, there is a 20% chance to gain a buff called melee influence, which can be refreshed by inflicting another electric status until the buff timer runs out. While the melee influence buff is active, all hits that can inflict any elemental status effect will spread a portion of that damage to all enemies within 20 meters with a guaranteed matching status effect. With melee influence and Shock Trooper, you can use any melee weapons without modding for range anymore. However, we are going to use a melee weapon with lots of range anyway, and let me explain to you why. The weapon of choice for this Volt combo is the Incarnon Bow Prime. The evolution of this melee grants 4 meters range, and you can achieve as much as 8.5 meters with Primed Reach, a spring-loaded mod, and a third evolution perk called Orokin Reach. By the way, you can extend this farther if you have a Riven mod, since the melee weapon can achieve great stat bonuses with its 5-star Riven disposition. Now, why choose this melee with high range? This is just a preference, but I love that aside from melee influence spreading statuses and damage, I also have high range in my melee weapon to kill those enemies that are within my range. Admittedly, not all enemies, especially Eximus units, can be killed by the melee influence damage, and they are mostly primed with status so that they can be killed easily with our melee weapon. In addition, combo generation is really great when you have high range, and this allows you to add more damage through the Weeping Wounds, Blood Rush, or the max combo count that deals more damage per hit. Do take note that melee influence does benefit also from critical multiplier, hence if you have dealt good crit initially, then the damage spread of the arcane will also be good. Now, the most basic build I have for this Volt combo is modding the Incarnon Bow Prime with Blast and Toxin. The latter does very well with the melee influence setup, and it's like playing a budget OG Sarin wherein you spread Toxin in a 20 meters range. The combo gets better with Blast because instead of a debuff, the damage type will now explode, dealing damage to enemies. With high status chance and melee influence, you can stack up both Toxin and Blast quickly to kill a crowd of enemies easily. The combo doesn't stop there, as you can also choose between 3 builds to make the damage better. Since critical multiplier affects melee influence, you can subsume Wrathful Advance in your Volt to increase the red crit tier of your damage. This increases your critical damage bonus also, allowing the damage coming from melee influence to deal better DPS. There's also the choice of subsuming Roar, and this ability is a massive boost to both Toxin and electric damage. Damage over time is great with Rhino's Roar, and this significantly boosts the damage of your Incarnon Bowprine built with Toxin, Blast, and the electric damage coming from Shock Trooper. Finally, there's also the option to Subsume Nourish in your build, as Grendel's Subsume ability can increase the damage potential of Blast. Viral debuffs enemies with health damage vulnerability, hence increasing the damage of your Blast. It gets better if you added Corrosive in the mix. So basically, Corrosive will strip 80% of armor at max stack, but it can further be improved with Emerald Archon Shards by adding Corrosive stacking. With 2 normal Emerald Archon Shards, you can inflict 14 stacks of Corrosive, which will fully strip the armor of enemies. This will be massive for a build with Viral and Blast, and this can also be good for the Roar version of the build. With Roar though, you don't have Viral and energy efficiency, but the damage becomes insane and can melt Steel Path level enemies easily. Finally, because of melee influence, we can focus on modding Volt for high duration and high power strength. This will make Shock Trooper, Speed, and any Subsume ability you have in his fort last longer and provide more damage or utility buff to the Warframe. In addition, you also don't need to worry about survivability, as electric procs from Shock Trooper that is spread by melee influence will continue to stun lock enemies. Not to mention that you can also use redirection for high shield values and then use electric shield to block frontal projectiles. With this build, you'll be zooming Steel Path levels missions, and this is perfect when you are doing survival runs or farming things like prime parts in exterminate or capture missions. In fact, this is one of those builds that are created for a purpose and not just for fun alone. Although this build is not created for level cap, this build is good for farming and running at least 1 hour of survival runs in Steel Path levels. While it lacks level cap power, it still provides a fun gameplay that allows you to enjoy Volt while farming things that you need in the game. So that's all about it for this video. I hope that you find it informative, but if you have questions, then feel free to ask it in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in my next guide. Squad Leader signing off.